On average, every 3 days I withdraw £1,000 from Vinted into my bank account, and I'm able to do this because I've spent over a year building a strategy and routine that allows it. If you give me 5 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what it is, and by the end of this video you'll know exactly what you need to do to make your first £1,000 by selling secondhand clothes on Vinted. The most important decision you'll make when starting reselling is what you buy. If you buy the wrong thing, it doesn't matter how good your supplier is, how consistent you are, how many items you upload, you won't make profit. And this is your make or break point. Buy the wrong things, nothing sells, you make no money, and you give up. You think reselling doesn't work. If you buy the right thing, you make money, you keep going, and you think reselling does work. That is the only difference between someone who has success with reselling and somebody that doesn't. The first thing that you buy will make or break the rest of your experience. So, how do you buy the right items? Well, here's my checklist. First, it has to sell for a price that's actually worth your time. We're not trying to make £1 or £2 profit from the items that we're buying and selling. That's not sustainable. So the items you buy need to have enough margin so that every sale is actually making you money. Second, the item has to have built-in demand. People have to be actively looking and searching for this item. You can't rely on one person out of 10,000 who's specifically looking for this sort of item that happens to stumble across your listing. No, a large number of people have to be looking for this item, and therefore it has demand. Third, and I've spoken about this before, is that the sale cannot be dependent on just the brand. If you're relying on receiving good brands from a supplier, then you're always going to be gambling on the brands that you receive. And so you should focus on the sale being dependent on the category of item itself. Here's an example. We're about to go into summer. People are going to be actively looking for cargo shorts. Now, you can sell them at a price that's high enough to make you profit. There's demand, built-in demand. People are actively looking for cargo shorts because it's summer, and people are buying cargo shorts regardless of the brand attached to them. People just want a pair of cargo shorts for summer, which means every pair of cargo shorts you receive from a supplier has the ability to make you profit because you're not relying on the brand. And finally, avoid what every other normal person is selling on Vinted. If everyone is selling the same thing, you're always going to be competing on price, and you'll lose. Think about basic branded hoodies, t-shirts, everybody just clearing out their wardrobe, selling things for £1, £2. There's no money to be made there, so avoid it. You want items that are undersold in comparison to the amount of demand for those items. Now the question is, how do you actually find these items? In the beginning, it does come down to research. You have to look on Vinted, see what's selling, what's got the most views, the most favorites. Then you look on eBay at sold listings to find the market price for these items. Find the categories with the most demand, look to see if suppliers are selling those categories, and then test it. You buy a small amount, you track how it performs, how quickly it sells, and how much it sells for. The categories that work, you double down on them. The categories that don't, you cut them off and don't buy them again. Now, I won't lie, this does take a while, so if you want to skip that and get access to a network of suppliers and find the best categories to sell, then check the link in the description after this video for more information. Now, once you're buying the correct items, making £1,000 becomes inevitable. It's just a matter of time and volume. So the next step is simple. You go out and source the items from a wholesale supplier. And when you're buying, all you have to think about is how many items do I need to sell to make £1,000? Work backwards from that number. What does each item sell for on average? How many sales does that mean you need? And that is your goal. And then you buy enough items to hit that target. And because you're buying the right things, when you upload these items, the sales will come. There is no secret supplier. It's about buying the right items, then the right amount of volume to hit your goal, and being consistent with uploads. But doing that consistently, day after day after day, that's where most people drop off. And that's where having a system and routine makes a difference. Making your first £1,000 is cool, but making £1,000 every 3 days is even better. But you can only do that with the correct routine and systems. When your items arrive, you don't just start making money. There's a process that you have to follow in order for them to sell. You have to wash them, iron them, photograph them, and upload them to Vinted. That's how an item goes from a delivery to a listing. And yes, you have to do this every single day. Everyone thinks the hardest part is finding a supplier and buying the correct items, but trust me, when you have that locked in place, you'll quickly realize that consistency will be your biggest bottleneck. So here's how you optimize each part of the process. Now, washing and ironing are pretty self-explanatory. You can't do this wrong. But your photos are where it gets important. They're the only thing that connects the buyer to the item that you're selling. And it's the first thing that they see. So if it looks rushed, if the lighting is rubbish, if it's not presented properly, they're going to scroll and buy somebody else's item. Your photos must have a clean, neutral background using bright, natural light or softbox lighting with the item either laid flat or on a hanger. All you have to do is set it up once and every photo going forward looks professional. And that is the difference between a sale and somebody scrolling onto the next item. Now, the same principle applies to your titles and descriptions in your listings. A good title means keywords. What is the item? What category is it? What style is it? Somebody searching for it needs to find it. Your description should also include accurate sizing, pit-to-pit measurements, length measurements, making sure you clearly state the condition of the item. Be extremely specific here, because the more accurate you are, the less chance you have of getting a return. And then the correct price. Pricing is critical. You will not sell items that are overpriced. Check what the same or similar listings are selling for on Vinted and eBay. And once you've sold enough of the same item, you just know how much something is worth and you don't have to check anymore. But at the end of the day, the market tells you how much something is worth, not what you think or not how much you paid for it. The buyer decides the price. Then there's storage, and you might think this is not important. When you have 50 or 100 items, it doesn't really matter. But if you're serious about scaling, you want to make more than £1,000, then you need a system in place. You're going to assign every item a number. Put that number on the item and in the description of your listing, so that when an item sells, you check the description, you see the number, and then you go and find that item in storage. Without that, as your inventory starts to grow, as you start to scale, you are going to spend hours trying to find items, trying to remember where items are in storage. And trust me, I've been there. So that is everything. What to buy, how much to buy, and the system and routine that allows you to do it consistently. Now, the majority of people who start reselling never even make it past the first step. They don't know what to buy, they don't have the right suppliers, and they have no structure around it. You now have all of that. £1,000 from reselling secondhand clothes on Vinted is not a big ask. It's only 50 sales at an average selling price of £20. That's it. And when you're buying the correct items, sales are inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if. I started with £200 with no experience, nobody showing me what to do, nobody to learn from, no connections. I figured it out all on my own, and I was able to get to the level that I'm at today. You're starting with something I never had, so go and use it. The only thing standing between you and your first £1,000 is doing the work.